Welcome, everyone. This is Peggy Hall from thehealthyamerican.org. We are talking about the truth about rabies vaccines. I'm not a veterinarian. I have been a pet parent for most of my life. I don't recall ever not having an animal in my life. And many of you know that sadly, my Elsie and Teddy, the last two remaining of my 5 animals, have passed on in the last couple of months. And prior to their passing, I was speaking a lot about rabies vaccines and all of the things that I would never do to my animals, and certainly now that I know better. So I have a lot of videos all about this. The playlist is called Rabies. It's here on my YouTube channel. And then I also have a Substack where I have some of the information along with the links, and that is in a written format. What I want to share with you today is how you can participate in a free rabies masterclass. That's what it's called. And what I want to do is share with you this email that I got. And this is from, let me know if you know this veterinarian, Dr. Will Falconer. Let me share my screen. I have signed up for his free emails. I have not watched all of his information, so you will need to draw your own conclusion as to what you think about Dr. Will, but I did want to bring this information to you right away. So let me share my screen. And this class is actually starting today. I'm airing this video live, and it is July 24th. And this class starts today, but it is available for a week. So he says, the subject of rabies weighs heavily on most of my readers, and I'm guessing it does for you as well. Not only is a rabies, okay, here's where we may, our opinions might diverge here. He says not only is rabies a deadly disease, killing some 55,000 people a year. You see, I'm not going along with these statements here, but what I think is going to be interesting is the information that he's going to bring actually about keeping your animals safe from this. So he says that more often than not, the shot ends up in having behavior changes, aggression and fear, paralysis, seizures and epilepsy. Crazily inflamed, itchy skin or ears is common a month later. He says, worse, I hear of too many seniors who are rocking along in their elder years just fine as frog hair, that's a funny expression, until their dutiful owners followed a rabies due notice from their Dr. Whitecoat. What follows is far too often serious illness and even an unexpected death. So what he is offering is this free rabies masterclass, and I wanted you to know about that. It's open now. You sign up. You can, you can click on here, and that actually should bring up another window here. Let me stop my screen until I get that queued up for you. So you sign up for the class, and you will get an email. You will have a link. And then there are 4 videos that you can watch. It's all self-paced. The videos will be released every couple of days. So that's something that you can do. It is vitalanimal.com. Vital Animal, V-I-T-A-L, animal.com. I will have a link for you in my Substack. And speaking of my Substack, let me take you over to where you can get a vaccine waiver. And this actually also comes from Dr. Will Falconer. So let me share my screen again. And I don't know why so many people believe in this rabies, as I call it. I guess it's kind of like cooties. I've done deep dives on this before. There are other Substackers that have done some deep dives, and definitely animals get sick. I'm not saying that they don't, but I exposed in previous videos how the symptoms that are associated with rabies, as I call it, you'll know why when you watch my other videos. It's the same as poisoning, as different kinds of infections, of encephalitis, of malnutrition. There are many reasons why an animal may be sick and exhibit these things that we are told is rabies, just like we are told about cooties that have the same symptoms as the flu. And they keep changing the symptoms so that they can keep adding to the list and keep terrifying and tormenting and terrorizing people. Having said that, let me go over to my Substack, which is peggyhall.substack.com. And here you can see I've got a link called resources. You click on resources, and the first post is Let's Talk About Rabies. And on that, I have some very important information. It says paid. I'm going to set that so everyone can access it because it's so important. And here you can click for your vaccine waiver for your pet. And that actually comes from this same website, Vital Animal. I have other links in that document in the Substack post that I just showed you. And you also can look there for ways of not having your animal go through this. This is a short video. I've got a video coming up in just a moment, another live video, and I want to tell you about the CDC cracking down on animals coming in from so-called high-risk countries and all of the new regulations that are going in as of August 1st, 2024. Now, these regulations include stricter paperwork, and every animal that comes in from a high-risk country is required to have this rabies vaccine. I don't know if this vaccine waiver is going to be effective or not. I hope that it is. We're going to take a look at those countries. We're going to take a look at these new regulations from the CDC. And then I want to remind everyone in terms of just your own animal. And I got an email and a letter just the other day from a Healthy American who said, Peggy, thank you for all of the information you've been bringing on keeping our animals safe. She said, this was a VIP client I had for a religious exemption. She said, you have changed the course of my animal's life for the better because I'm no longer going to do these things. So these are the reasons why I bring you these videos day in, day out, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific here. Today I had some technical issues. I could not get online. Hopefully all is working well now. So stick with me. I'm going to share a video for those of you who are bringing an animal in from another country, even if it is a United States animal, meaning perhaps you had your animal here, you went overseas, you traveled, you had a job, or for whatever reason, you were in one of these countries, you still need to follow these more severe restrictions coming in. I also was looking for a picture of my Shebekia, the puppy that I found, a newborn puppy. She fit in the palm of my hand. Her eyes were closed. There were some Moroccan kids tossing her around like a beanbag. And I heard this squealing and I ran over and they dropped the puppy. They ran off and I picked up this little puppy who became my constant companion for 15 years. That was the dog that I had prior to Teddy. I also found Teddy as an abandoned puppy, but Teddy was about 4 or 5 weeks old. Shebekia was like 4 or 5 days old. And I bottle fed her, and she was just an amazing miracle dog. And I wanted to show you a picture. She came from Morocco. I was in Morocco at the time, and I brought her back as a tiny little puppy. And this was long before, 9/11. Yeah, about 9/11 and all of the restrictions that were imposed upon us after that via the so-called Patriot Act. Here's a hint. Whatever the government calls the name of these laws, it's the exact opposite. Just like the Affordable Care Act for healthcare, some of you probably are benefiting from it. Most people aren't. Okay, most people are paying for your healthcare, and maybe that's how you like it. But the point being, the names of these bills are the exact opposite. So prior to 9/11 and the Patriot Act, you could just walk on a plane. You basically went through a metal detector. Nobody really cared about anything. And I had this little puppy in a basket, and it was fine. She came to the United States at about 4 weeks old at that point. And now bringing a dog in from Morocco, there are far more restrictive regulations. And Morocco is just one of a number of countries that I'm going to share with you in a separate video. This video was just to inform you about this free rabies masterclass that you can take with Dr. Will. And when you're on it, and if you can email him, ask him why he thinks that rabies exists and what evidence there is for that and where he got that number of 55,000 people dying from it. Those numbers don't add up with what I have. It's more like 1 or 2 people, something like that, if it can even be directly diagnosed as such. I have a lot of questions about that. And sadly, in the meantime, animals are harmed again and again. Now, over my several weeks of intense grief, I have been going on some pet loss chat websites where you can read other people's stories. And it's absolutely heartbreaking for me to hear the number of animals that die suddenly because of an enlarged spleen or bleeding in an internal organ following a rabies vaccine. So I have all the remedies available for you. And just a quick review, I've done it on several videos. Number one, you go to your vet and you say, I need a waiver because my animal cannot tolerate a vaccine. It should be pretty cut and dry. The vet really only cares that there is some paperwork in order so that they are not going to be called on the carpet by the medical licensing board, that they'll be able to say, yes, I had a patient, I reviewed the patient was not able to tolerate these vaccines, and that's why I signed this document. And as I said, Dr. Will Falconer has a sample one, and I have other ones on my Substack. So that's the number one thing that you do. Number two, not that I'm advocating this, but I know that there are people that, how do I put it, created their own rabies vaccine document. I'll just leave it at that. But basically, you should be able to go to your veterinarian and say, my animal had an adverse reaction, my animal has allergies, my animal has anxiety, whatever the case may be. And I'm almost positive that there will be some condition that you will be able to present that your veterinarian will say, yeah, okay, that doesn't sound like a good idea to have your animal vaccinated. In the case of my animals, I mean, they were 14, 19 years old at the time of their passing. They didn't have vaccines. Now, the little ones in the beginning, because I got them from Hurricane Katrina, they were already, shot up. Sadly, I don't hold it against the animal, but that's not something that I would be doing to my animals going forward. And I did a video about that called what things that I would never do to my animals. So you can consider that. Many people just don't go to the veterinarian. If you need to do so, again, try to get that type of waiver done in advance so it's not a medical emergency. One of my commenters said, Peggy, I had to bring my dog in for some type of relatively urgent procedure. And the vet said, before we do this here in the office, I need to give your dog the vaccine shot. And the owner is like, well, how long does it take for that to kick in? Oh, it's 2 weeks. So you're not going to do the procedure without the shot. And you want to do the procedure now, even though the shot doesn't take effect for 2 weeks. You see, there is no logical rationale behind this other than money, 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 or ignorance. And I hope that my animal rescue pals are learning more and more about this. It's understandable that in the system they are in, that they believe that these animals are going to be healthier once they get all of their shots, their puppy shots, their kitten shots, and all the other things that they do. The only shot that is required in most states is rabies. All of the other shots are not required. So I would, if I were you and you're working with the animal friends, gently, maybe not even gently, but start to bring them this information. I've got a video called Vaccines, Microchipping, and Sterilization. I think that's it, or spay and neuter. And I speak very strongly about these topics that are just a given in the animal rescue groups. And I offer the perspective of there's another way. It's not a one size fits all. There's always another way. You don't have to impose this one size fits all. And there are options that can be considered. That's where I'm coming from. All right, stick with me. I want to share with you this very restrictive, these new measures that are coming out from the CDC, why the CDC even has the authority to do so, and what this might mean for you or someone you know. Because even if you say, well, Peggy, I live here, I don't travel, I don't need to worry about that. You may meet someone or have a friend that is in that predicament, or there may be other reasons for you to learn about this. So stay tuned. I'll bring that to you in just a few moments. In the meantime, you can hop on over to peggyhall.substack.com. Sign up. It's absolutely free for your subscription to my Substack. You can get access to my information on rabies, including that vaccine waiver. And for those of you that have upgraded to a paid subscription, I thank you. This is my job. This is how I earn my daily keep, is by researching, writing the Substack, creating these videos for you, and helping you keep your head above the waves in these tyrannical seas. And as you know, I am marching this all the way to heaven, and I'm grateful to have you on board with me. All right, friends, I'll be back with you in just a few minutes with my video on the CDC and their horrible restrictive measures on animals coming in from high risk